Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. Too many people confuse holding on with being strong. They think if they let go of someone, something, or some situation, it means they failed. But here's the truth. Letting go is not weakness. Letting go is self-respect. You see, life is all about seasons. Some people, some opportunities, even some dreams, they were never meant to stay with you forever. They came into your life to teach you a lesson, to help you grow, or to open your eyes. But when their season is over, no amount of begging, crying, or holding on will make them stay. And when you learn to let go of what's not for you, you free yourself for what is for you. The biggest mistake we make is thinking we can fix everyone, fix everything, or keep holding on until it finally works out. But the reality is, not everything is meant to be fixed. Sometimes it's meant to be released. Because when you keep holding on to the wrong people or wrong situations, you're actually disrespecting yourself. You're telling yourself that you don't deserve better, that you don't deserve peace, that you don't deserve joy. And that's a lie. Self-respect means knowing your worth. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I deserve more than this drama, this pain, sided effort. And yes, it takes courage to walk away. It takes strength to say, I'm done. But don't confuse that with weakness. Weakness is staying where you're not valued. Weakness is holding on just to avoid being alone. Strength is saying, I respect myself too much to keep pouring into something that's not pouring back into me. Now, I know it ain't easy. I know your heart wants to hold on. Your memories want to hold on. Even your fear wants to hold on. But when you finally decide to let go, you'll notice something. You'll breathe better. Your shoulders will feel lighter. And little by little, you'll start to rebuild yourself. You'll realize you didn't lose anything. You gained freedom, peace, and the chance to make room for something better. So, stop thinking that letting go makes you weak. It makes you wise. It makes you powerful. It makes you someone who refuses to settle for less than they deserve. And I promise you this, once you learn to let go of what's not meant for you, life will surprise you with something you never thought possible. Letting go is not weakness. It's the highest form of self-respect. And when you respect yourself, the world learns to respect you too. Letting go is not failure. It is recognizing when a season in your life has ended and freeing yourself for what's truly meant for you. This is one of the hardest lessons people struggle to accept because the human heart gets attached. We attach ourselves to people, to relationships, to jobs, to places, even to versions of ourselves that no longer exist. We think if we just hold on a little tighter, if we just fight a little harder, maybe things will go back to how they used to be, or maybe they'll finally become what we hoped for. But life doesn't work like that. Life moves in seasons, and each season has its purpose. Just as winter must give way to spring and day must give way to night, there are moments when certain chapters in our lives are meant to close. And when we resist that closure, when we cling to what is no longer meant for us, we cause ourselves unnecessary pain. The truth is, letting go is not about giving up. It's about accepting reality. It's about having the courage to say, this part of my story has served its purpose, and now it's time to move forward. That's not failure. That's wisdom. Failure is when you stay stuck in something that is no longer giving you growth, no longer giving you peace, no longer adding any value to your soul. Holding on to something that has expired doesn't preserve it. It just decays inside of you. Think about fruit. If you keep it past its time, it spoils. The same goes for relationships or opportunities. If its time is over and you keep forcing it, it spoils inside your spirit. Sometimes people walk out of our lives and we feel broken. We ask ourselves what we did wrong, why we weren't enough, or why things couldn't last forever. But we fail to see that maybe their role in our life was temporary. Maybe they were just meant to teach us strength, patience, or resilience. Maybe they were there to prepare us for someone or something greater. When you learn to accept that not everyone is meant to stay, you start to appreciate the lessons instead of resenting the losses. That's the real strength behind letting go. There is also a sense of trust that comes with release. Trusting that life has something better for you, that God has a plan bigger than your current understanding. If you hold on to the wrong things, you block your hands from receiving the right things. Imagine carrying a bag full of heavy stones, and then someone offers you gold, but your hands are too full to take it. That's exactly what happens when you cling to expired seasons. You miss out on the blessings ahead because you refuse to put down what no longer belongs to you. And let's be honest, holding on isn't always about love. A lot of the time, it's about fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of change, fear of the unknown. Fear convinces you that even if something is hurting you, at least it's familiar, at least it's safe. But real growth never happens in fear. Real growth happens when you step into uncertainty with faith. When you trust that letting go of what's not working will open doors you couldn't even imagine. It's also important to remember that letting go doesn't erase what was real. It doesn't erase the memories, the moments, the love, or the lessons. It simply means you're choosing not to live in the past anymore. You're choosing to honor what was, but not let it hold you hostage. That's maturity, not weakness. That's strength, not failure. When you understand this, your whole outlook changes. You stop chasing after people who left. You stop forcing friendships that feel one-sided. You stop clinging to jobs that drain you. You stop trying to become who you used to be. And instead you start stepping into who you're meant to be. And that right there is freedom. The kind of freedom that brings peace, joy, and a sense of purpose. So when a season ends in your life, don't see it as a door slamming shut in your face. See it as life redirecting you. See it as protection. See it as guidance. Because nothing that is truly meant for you will ever pass you by. And the moment you find the courage to let go, you make room for the blessings that were waiting all along. Holding on to the wrong people or situations is a form of self-disrespect, while walking away shows strength and self-worth. Too often we convince ourselves that loyalty means never letting go, that being strong means enduring pain, and that love means sacrificing our own peace just to keep someone else comfortable. But in reality, when you hold on to someone who continuously disrespects you, drains you, or takes you for granted, you're not proving your love or your strength. You're silently telling yourself that you don't matter enough. You're teaching your own heart that other people's needs are more important than your peace. And the longer you hold on to what doesn't serve you, the more you shrink yourself just to fit into places where you were never meant to belong. Self-respect is not about arrogance. It's about balance. It's about realizing that while you can give love, patience, forgiveness, and second chances, you cannot keep giving them endlessly at the expense of your own happiness. If someone shows and time again that they don't value your presence, then continuing to chase their approval is not loyalty. It's self-betrayal. Walking away in those moments is not weakness. It is declaring to yourself and to the world that you refuse to be treated as less than you deserve. That's not being cold. That's being wise enough to draw a line where your dignity begins. We often forget that people learn how to treat us by watching how we treat ourselves. If you tolerate constant disrespect, neglect, or half-hearted effort, you set the standard that this is all you are willing to accept. But when you walk away from such situations, you reset that standard. You let others know that your time, your energy, and your love are precious, and they must be honored. That action speaks louder than any words could, saying, "I respect myself too much to stay here," is the most powerful message you can ever send, not just to others, but to your own soul. It's also important to understand that strength is not always loud. Strength is not always about fighting, defending, or proving your point. Sometimes strength is silent. Sometimes strength is in walking away without anger, without bitterness, just with peace. Because you know deep down you deserve more. That takes more courage than clinging to something that is hurting you just because you're afraid of letting go. Staying in a place that breaks you down is easy because it requires no change. But stepping out, closing the door, and choosing yourself, that's true bravery. There is also a deep healing that comes when you walk away from what disrespects you. At first, it might hurt. It might feel lonely. It might feel like you've lost everything. But as time passes, you start to realize that you didn't lose anything at all. You gain clarity. You gain peace. You gain the ability to rebuild. And as you rebuild, you begin to discover parts of yourself you had buried while trying to hold on. You start to laugh again, to dream again, to feel alive again. That's the gift of choosing self, respect over toxic attachments. Too many people confuse endurance with strength. They believe that staying no matter what is a sign of being tough. But endurance without boundaries is not strength. It's self-destruction. Strength is knowing when enough is enough. Strength is knowing that you cannot control how someone treats you, but you can control how long you allow them to. That choice is always in your hands. And the day you choose to honor yourself, you set a new path for your life. One where peace is possible, joy is possible, and real love is possible. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you hate them. And it doesn't mean you gave up. It simply means you finally started caring about yourself enough to let go of what was breaking you. It means you love yourself enough to protect your spirit. That is not weakness. That is strength in its purest form. True self-respect comes from knowing your value and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. One of the hardest but most important truths in life is that people will only treat you at the level you allow. If you don't recognize your own worth, you will always find yourself in places where you're undervalued, underappreciated, and overlooked. But when you truly know who you are, what you bring to the table, and the depth of your heart, you stop begging for crumbs from people who don't see your value. You start demanding what aligns with your dignity. That is the foundation of self-respect. Understanding that your worth is not negotiable. Too many times, we lower our standards out of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of missing out. Fear that maybe this is the best we'll ever get. And because of that fear, we settle. We accept half love, fake friendships, toxic jobs, and situations that drain us just so we don't have to face the discomfort of standing alone. But settling is one of the greatest forms of disrespect you can give yourself. Because every time you say yes to less, you're sending a message to your own soul that you don't deserve more. And deep down, you know that's not true. Deep down, you know you were created for more than barely being appreciated, for more than constantly proving your worth, for more than begging for love that should be freely given. Self-respect is like armor. It protects you from the things that try to break you. When you know your value, you stop chasing validation. You stop waiting for people to recognize your effort. You stop bending yourself backward just to be accepted. Instead, you stand tall and let people rise up to meet your standards. If they can't, then you're willing to let them go without hesitation. That's the kind of strength that comes from real self-worth. You don't beg to be chosen. You choose yourself first. Knowing your value also means knowing the difference between compromise and sacrifice. In healthy relationships, compromise is necessary. You give a little, they give a little. But when you constantly find yourself sacrificing your peace, your dreams, your happiness, just to keep someone else comfortable, that's not compromise. That's self-abandonment. And nothing is worth losing yourself for. No person, no job, no relationship is worth the destruction of your spirit. Self-respect is standing firm and saying, I refuse to lose myself to keep something that was never meant for me. Another important part of self-respect is learning how to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are guidelines to teach people how to treat you. When you have no boundaries, you leave yourself open to disrespect, manipulation, and neglect. But when you set clear boundaries, when you say no without guilt, when you walk away without fear, when you demand effort without apology, you attract people who respect you because you respect yourself. And those who don't respect your boundaries will fall away on their own. That's not a loss. It's a blessing. Refusing to settle is not about arrogance. It's about self-love. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing you are worthy of love, peace, respect, and joy. When you carry yourself with that confidence, you stop accepting situations that make you feel small. You stop chasing things that make you question your worth. Instead, you align yourself with opportunities, relationships, and environments that reflect the value you already know you possess. It's also important to understand that knowing your value doesn't mean everything will come easy. It doesn't mean you won't face rejection or loss. But the difference is when you know your worth, rejection doesn't destroy you, it redirects you. Loss doesn't shatter you, it teaches you. Because you understand that your value was never tied to what left. It was always within you. Nothing and no one can take that away. So the real power lies in refusing to settle. Refusing to settle for half-hearted love, for fake friendships, for jobs that rob you of joy, for environments that dim your light. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you will be tested, but you will also attract better. And even if you have to walk alone for a while, you will walk with dignity, knowing that you never compromised your value just to feel accepted. That is the purest form of strength. Choosing yourself, honoring yourself, and protecting your worth at all costs. Letting go creates space for peace, freedom, and new opportunities that align with your worth. Life is a lot like a room. If it's cluttered with old furniture, broken pieces, and things you don't need anymore, there's no space for something new and beautiful to come in. The same happens in our hearts and minds. When we hold on to people, habits, or situations that no longer serve us, we fill our lives with unnecessary weight. That weight keeps us stuck in the past, replaying the same stories, the same pain, the same disappointments. But when you finally find the courage to let go, it's like cleaning out that room. Suddenly, there's space. Space for peace to settle in. Space for your spirit to breathe. And space for new blessings to arrive. Peace is one of the greatest gifts that comes with letting go. When you're holding on to the wrong things, your heart feels restless. You're constantly overthinking, questioning, doubting, and carrying stress that was never meant to be yours. You lie awake at night, wondering why someone doesn't value you or why a situation doesn't change. But once you let go, that noise begins to fade. You no longer carry the responsibility of fixing what was never yours to fix. You no longer drain yourself trying to hold together something that was falling apart anyway. In its place, peace begins to grow, and peace is priceless. It's the kind of calm that allows you to smile again, to sleep better, to feel lighter in your own skin. Letting go also gives you freedom. When you're tied to the wrong things, it feels like being chained to a wall. No matter how much you want to move forward, something keeps pulling you back. That chain could be a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or even a version of yourself that no longer fits who you're becoming. As long as you hold on, you stay stuck in the same cycle, repeating the same mistakes, feeling the same disappointments. But the moment you let go, the chains fall off. You free yourself to explore new paths, to grow into new versions of yourself, to finally live without the weight of someone else's expectations or judgments. Freedom isn't about running away. It's about breaking free from what limits you. And that only comes through release. Most importantly, letting go opens the door for new opportunities. Life has a way of rewarding courage. When you make space by releasing what isn't meant for you, life fills that space with something better. It might be new people who respect and value you. It might be new doors that lead to growth and success. It might be a new sense of purpose or a new journey that excites your soul. But none of that can come in if you're still clinging to the old. Imagine trying to hold on to something with both hands while life is trying to give you something better. Until you release what you're holding, you can't receive what's waiting. That's why letting go is never truly a loss. It's an exchange. You trade what was weighing you down for what will lift you up. Sometimes we don't realize that the very thing we're afraid to let go of is the thing blocking our blessings. We keep asking for happiness, for love, for success, but we don't make room for them. And life cannot give you abundance in a space that's already filled with baggage. Letting go is an act of faith, trusting that by creating space, something greater will come. And it always does. Maybe not immediately, maybe not in the way you expected, but in time, you'll see why release was necessary. And here's the most beautiful part. When you let go, you don't just create space for external opportunities. You create space within yourself. You rediscover your own voice, your own dreams, your own joy that got buried beneath the weight of holding on. You realize that you are enough on your own. And from that place of wholeness, you attract better things because you no longer accept less. So letting go is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the doorway to peace, the key to freedom, and the foundation for everything new that is waiting for you. It's proof that you trust yourself, that you value yourself, and that you believe life has more to offer than what you've been holding on to. And once you step into that space, you'll see that what you thought was a loss was really the greatest gain